Sir, did you want more fresh bread? It tastes really good.
Let me taste it first.
Ada's bread scatters on the dusty construction site floor. Mark stands over her in his sharp suit. Workers freeze. Nobody breathes. Do you know who I am? Ada looked at the bread on the floor. Then she looked at him. I don't know you, Olga, but I know that is 1,000 naira on the ground. And you are going to pay for it. The whole site went silent. His security men stepped forward. Mark raised his hand and stopped them. Then he reached into his pocket. Nobody talked to Mark Cole like that. Ever. But something about this bread seller in her simple apron, standing in the dust, looking him dead in the eye without fear, stopped him cold. He didn't know it yet, but his whole life just changed. Sit tight. Let me tell you a story. Watch till the end. You don't want to miss what happens next. And before we start, don't forget to like, subscribe, and drop a comment telling us where you're watching from and what time it is over there. The sun had not yet shown its face when Ada was already on her feet. It was 4 a.m. The small room she rented in Suralere was quiet except for the soft breathing of her younger brother Tobe, who slept on the only mattress they owned. Ada had given him the mattress a long time ago. She slept on a thin foam mat on the floor and never complained about it once. She moved quietly in the dark, tying her apron, checking the bread she had baked the night before. The smell of fresh sweet bread filled the tiny room, warm, soft, and golden. It was the one beautiful thing in her life that she had made with her own 2 hands. Ada was 26 years old. She was not tall, not short. She had a round face, kind eyes, and the kind of smile that made strangers feel like they had known her for years. But life had not been kind to her. Her mother died when she was 15. Her father left before that. It was just her and Tobe now, and Tobe was sick. Tobe was 19 and had kidney disease. Every day he needed medicine. Every day Ada made sure he had it, even if it meant she ate only 1 meal. She never told him how hard it was. She just smiled and said, "We are fine, Tobe. We are fine." By 5:30 a.m., Ada had packed her bread into her big basket, covered it with a clean cloth, balanced it on her head, and stepped out into the early Lagos morning. Her spot was at the construction site on Victoria Island. A massive building was going up there, tall, modern, all glass and steel. The workers arrived early and they were always hungry. Ada's bread was soft, her prices were fair, and she always had a kind word. The men loved her. Some of them called her Auntie Ada even though she was younger than them. She did not know who owned the building. She did not need to know. She just needed to sell enough to buy Tobe's medicine before the pharmacy closed. That was her world. Bread and medicine. Medicine and bread. Every single day. Mark Cole did not sleep well. He never did. When you own a company worth billions, your mind does not rest easy. There is always a problem, always a deadline, always someone trying to cheat you or beat you or copy you. Mark was 34 years old and he had built Cole Empire from almost nothing. Well, not exactly nothing. His father had left him a small construction firm when he died. But Mark had taken that small firm and turned it into the biggest construction company in Lagos. New buildings, new roads, new estates. His name was everywhere. He was tall, well-dressed, and had a face that people described as serious. Not ugly, actually quite fine. But serious. Always. Like he was solving a problem even when he was eating. On this particular Tuesday morning, Mark decided to visit the Victoria Island site without warning. He liked to do that, show up without telling anyone, just to see if things were really running the way his managers reported. He arrived at 7 a.m. in his black Mercedes. His 2 security men, James and Kola, followed close behind. He walked fast, phone pressed to his ear, eyes scanning the site, checking the structure, checking the workers, checking everything. He did not check the road in front of him. And that was the problem. Because Ada was turning the corner at exactly that moment, basket on her head, already calculating how many loaves she had left, when a tall man in a sharp gray suit walked straight into her. The basket fell. The bread scattered. 12 loaves hit the dusty ground. There was silence. Ada looked at the bread on the floor. She looked at the man who knocked her. His security men had already stepped forward. The site workers nearby had gone very still. Ada looked the man dead in the eye and said, calm as water, "Olga, watch where you are going. That is 1,000 naira on the floor." James, the senior security man, nearly choked. Nobody, and he meant nobody, talked to Mark Cole like that. Not workers. Not managers. Not even some of his board members. Mark stared at her. His jaw was tight. Then something strange happened in his face, something quick that came and went. He reached into his pocket, brought out his wallet, counted 2,000 naira, and placed it in Ada's hand. "For your trouble," he said. Then he walked away. Ada looked at the money, then looked at his back. "Thank you, Olga," she called after him, already picking up her bread. "Reduce your speed next time." One of the workers nearby burst out laughing, then quickly covered his mouth. Mark did not turn around, but the corner of his mouth moved. Just slightly. Mark told himself it was nothing. Just a funny moment. Lagos is full of funny moments. He forgot about it before he even got back to his office. Except he did not forget. The next morning he was in his car on the way to a meeting, and he told his driver to take the route past the Victoria Island site. Just to check on things, he told himself. Just business. He saw her from the car window. She was laughing with 2 workers, handing one of them a loaf, pointing at something in the distance and shaking her head. Free and easy, like the whole world was her living room. He did not stop the car. 2 days later, he stopped the car. He walked to her spot alone, without James and Cola, which was unusual for him. Ada looked up, recognized him immediately, and raised an eyebrow. "You want bread, Olga?" "Yes," he said. She named a price. It was double the normal price. She did not blink. He paid it. He did not argue. He stood there eating the bread while she served other customers, moving fast and talking fast the way Lagos market women do. When he finished, he walked back to his car without saying goodbye. She called after him, "Come back tomorrow, fresh batch." He did not reply. But he came back. This became the strangest routine of Mark Cole's very organized life. Every 2 days, he would stop at Ada's spot, buy bread at whatever price she decided to charge him that day, and stand there for a few minutes. They started talking. Small things at first, the Lagos heat, the terrible traffic on the bridge, how fuel prices kept going up. Ada spoke to him the same way she spoke to everyone. Straight, simple, no fear. She did not know who he was at first. When one of the workers quietly told her that the man buying her bread was actually the owner of the entire construction site, she went quiet for a second. Then she shrugged and said, "Then he should pay triple." Mark, somehow, became the kind of man who looked forward to buying expensive bread. Everything shifted on a Thursday afternoon. Mark was in his site office, a temporary building set up on the edge of the construction area, going through reports from his site manager, when one note caught his eye. A bread seller near the site had borrowed money from 3 different workers over the past month. Small amounts, 5,000 here, 3,000 there. She had not paid any of it back. The name at the bottom of the report, Ada. Mark sat back in his chair. He felt something cold move through him. Disappointment, maybe, or something else he did not want to name. He sent for her. Ada walked into the site office with her basket still on her arm. She saw Mark behind the desk and she knew immediately what this was about. She set the basket down, sat in the chair across from him, and before he could open his mouth, she spoke. She told him about Tobe. All of it. The kidney disease, the daily medicine, the cost that kept going up. She told him how last month the medicine price jumped and she did not have enough. She told him she borrowed from the workers because she was too proud to beg strangers, and at least she knew these men. She told him she had a payment plan in her head and she was working it. She did not cry. She did not look down. She just told him the truth, clearly, like she was reading from a page. When she finished, the office was quiet. Mark looked at her for a long moment. Then he picked up his phone, called his accountant, and cleared the debt, all of it, through the workers' salary accounts so nobody would know the source. He never told Ada he did it. She found out 2 days later when the workers told her the money had been settled from somewhere. She stood there in the morning sun, basket on her head, and she understood. She did not say thank you directly to Mark. But the next time she saw him, she gave him his bread for free. He tried to pay. She refused. They stood there arguing about it for 5 minutes. It was the best conversation either of them had had in a long time. Sandra Williams had money, beauty, and a very bad temper. She had known Mark for 3 years. Their families had done business together and their mothers had already started planning a future for them, one that Sandra wanted very much and Mark had never properly agreed to. Sandra heard about the bread seller from one of her sources near the site. At first she laughed. Mark, buying bread from a street girl? Please. But then her source sent a photo. Mark standing at Ada's spot, eating bread, actually smiling. Sandra stopped laughing. She made one phone call. 2 days later, the security at the Victoria Island construction site received instructions that unauthorized food sellers were no longer allowed near the premises. Ada arrived that Monday morning and was turned away at the gate. She tried again Tuesday. Turned away again. She stood on the pavement outside, basket on her head, and understood that something had changed. She did not know what. She did not know who. But she was a Lagos girl and Lagos had taught her one lesson very well. When one door closes, you find another road. She found a new spot 2 streets away, near a busy bus stop. The customers were different, fewer, and her income dropped. That same week, Tobe's medicine ran out. Ada sold her small gold earrings, the only jewelry she owned, a gift from her late mother, to buy the medicine. She told nobody. When Mark found out what Sandra had done, and who had suffered for it, he did not shout. He did not make a scene. He became very, very quiet. And people who knew Mark Cole knew that his quiet was far more dangerous than his anger. The call came on a Wednesday night at 11:45 p.m. Tobe had collapsed. A neighbor found him on the floor of the room and rushed him to the nearest government hospital. Ada got there 20 minutes later, out of breath, her wrapper half-tied, her eyes wild with fear. The nurse at the desk was calm and tired and spoke in the flat voice of someone who had delivered bad news too many times. We need a deposit before we can admit him properly. 50,000 naira. Ada's stomach dropped. She had 12,000 naira in her account. She started calling people. Her market friends. Her neighbors. Distant relatives she had not spoken to in years. Most of her calls went unanswered. The ones who answered did not have the money to spare. She stood outside the hospital under a yellow security light, calling and calling, when her phone buzzed with a message from one of the construction site workers. He had heard from a neighbor. He was just checking. Just sending love. Without really planning it, he also sent a message to one other contact in his phone. Mark arrived at the hospital at 12:30 a.m. He was still in his work clothes. He walked straight to the desk, paid the deposit, upgraded Tobe to a private ward, and arranged for a specialist to review him in the morning. Ada found him in the corridor afterwards. She had been crying. He could see it even though she had wiped her face. She looked at him standing there in his expensive clothes in this tired government hospital, and she did not know what to say. He spoke first. Because you would have done the same for someone else, if you could. She swallowed hard. She nodded once. They sat together on a plastic bench in that corridor until 2 a.m., not talking much, just sitting. At one point Ada fell asleep against the wall. Mark sat beside her, awake, watching the hospital come and go, feeling something inside his chest that he had no word for yet. By 8 a.m. the next morning, a blog had posted a photo. Someone at the hospital had taken it on their phone. Mark Cole's black Mercedes parked outside, and a blurry image of him walking through the entrance. The headline read, "Billionaire CEO Mark Cole spotted at Lagos Hospital with mysterious woman. Who is she?" By noon the photo was everywhere. By evening, people had found Ada's name. Mrs. Cole called her son 4 times before he picked up. She was not a loud woman. She was worse. She was cold and precise. Mark, this needs to stop. Today. Sandra called his office and told his PA that she was pulling her family's investment from 2 of Cole Empire's upcoming projects unless Mark made a public statement distancing himself from the story. The board sent a formal memo about reputational management. Mark read all of it. He turned off his phone and sat alone in his office for a long time. For 3 days, he did not go to Ada's bread spot. He did not call. He said nothing. Ada read the blogs. She read the comments under her name. People called her a hustler, a nobody, a girl chasing a billionaire with bread. The comments were cruel in the easy way that people online are always cruel, fast, careless, and confident. She sat with it for 1 day. Then she made a decision. She got dressed. She took a bus to Victoria Island. She walked into the Cole Empire building, past the security desk, past the fine receptionist who looked at her up and down, past the stairs and whispers, and she asked to see Mark Cole. They told her he was in a meeting. She sat down and waited. After 40 minutes, Mark came out and saw her sitting in his lobby, back straight, hands on her knees, looking completely calm. He took her to a small meeting room. She stood across from him and she said it simply, the way she said everything, "I did not come to your site looking for a husband. I came to sell bread. I don't need your money or your big name or your trouble. Whatever this is, leave me out of it. I have enough problems." She picked up her bag and walked out. Mark stood in that room alone. He looked at his reflection in the glass wall, sharp suit, expensive watch, big office on a high floor in a big building he had built himself. He had never felt so small. On Friday morning, Mark called a press meeting. No announcement beforehand. No PR preparation. Just him, a microphone, and the truth. He stood in front of the cameras and he spoke for 4 minutes. He said that Sandra Williams and her family's investment were no longer welcome in Cole Empire, and that he wished them well. He said that his personal life was his own and he would not be managed or pressured by anyone, board, family, or media. He said one more thing, quietly. The people who built this city are not always the ones in the fine offices. Sometimes they are the ones outside with baskets on their heads. I have more respect for that kind of person than for any pressure campaign. He did not mention Ada by name. He did not have to. Then he got in his car and drove to the bus stop 2 streets from the construction site. Ada was there. New spot, same basket, same cloth covering the bread, same smile she gave every customer. She saw him walking toward her and she crossed her arms. He stopped in front of her. He looked like a man who had rehearsed what he wanted to say and then forgot all of it. What came out was honest and simple. I was afraid. Rich men are allowed to be afraid too. Ada looked at him for a long time. The traffic moved behind him. A bus conductor shouted something. Legos continued being Legos all around them. Then Ada reached into her basket and held out a loaf of bread. "Pay me first," she said. "Then we can talk." He laughed. Not a polite laugh. Not a controlled CEO laugh. A real laugh, from somewhere deep in his chest, the kind that catches you off guard. He paid. She talked. He listened. Then he talked and she listened. Tobe got better. The specialist Mark arranged was good, and with proper treatment and consistent medicine, Tobe's health improved steadily over the following months. He started studying again. He had always wanted to be an engineer, and Mark's company eventually gave him an internship when he was strong enough. Tobe cried when he heard. Ada pretended she did not cry. She did. Ada's bakery opened 6 months after that morning at the bus stop. It was small, just a shopfront in Surreyr, 3 staff, 1 oven, and a hand-painted sign that read Ada's bread in bright yellow letters. Mark helped with the startup cost, but Ada kept every record herself and insisted on paying him back, which she did, in 12 steady monthly installments. He tried to refuse. She would not hear it. Mrs. Cole met Ada properly at a quiet dinner that Mark arranged at his house. Ada arrived in a simple dress, greeted the older woman with both hands, sat down and answered every question calmly. She did not try to impress. She did not shrink. By the end of the evening, Mrs. Cole had eaten 2 slices of Ada's bread, asked for the recipe, and said to her son when Ada stepped away, "She's not what I expected." "I know," Mark said. "She's better," his mother finished. Sandra moved on. Lagos always moves on. Mark and Ada did not rush their love. They built it the way Ada built everything, carefully, patiently, with good ingredients and enough time. No show, no performance. Just 2 people choosing each other on ordinary days. The last scene of their story is a quiet one. Ada is in her bakery early in the morning, Lagos humming outside the window, Tobe laughing about something in the back room. The smell of fresh bread is everywhere. She is counting her trays when the door opens. Mark walks in. Suit jacket off, sleeves rolled up. He goes to the counter like a regular customer, picks up 1 loaf, and slides some money across with a small folded note. Ada picks up the note and opens it. It says, "Same time tomorrow?" She looks up at him. He is watching her with that face, still serious, but with a light in it now that was never there before. Ada smiles. She puts the note in her apron pocket. And she gets back to work. And that's how their story began. Not with riches, but with realness. If this story touched you, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with someone who believes in love that grows the right way. Drop a comment below. Do you believe love like this still exists? And tell us where you're watching from. See you in the next story.